You're a big man, big man. You are indeed a big man in Ghana when you are in some kind of formal employment or you happen to work with a government agency. Then everybody consider you to be a big man. You as this big man, when you start giving this money and at a point in time you find yourself needing help, who do you fall on? Yes, that's the question. You may need help to sort your children's school fees. You may need help to even sort yourself, or at a point where we normally say that Bosomina Bukev. In fact, the month has negotiated a curve, meaning that we are in the middle of the month where the salary you might have received has actually gotten finished, and you are really expecting the next pay from your employer. At that moment, where do you fall on? In this episode, we are going to have a conversation about how to set an emergency fund as a big man. You're a big man, big man. You are indeed a big man in Ghana when you are in some kind of formal employment or you happen to work with a government agency. Then everybody consider you to be a big man. What that means is that your money, the money you earn for working, does not belong to you alone. It belongs to a whole plethora of people, some who are familiar, others who are brought in by familiar people, or those who are not familiar at all, but they see the way you are well put together, you are dressed going to work, coming in, maybe you are driving your own vehicle, you look responsible, then you get your title big man. But this accolades, right, will not come it will not come without any form of expectation. When we are hailing you, big man, boss, chairman, bakope, I hail you, one done. All these things, when we start hailing you, especially from the streets, then it means that we expect you to put some kwacha in return. All these people are coming to you to tax you. Some people call this black tax, the tax where family, friends, or everybody expect to get something from you because they believe that you can afford and perhaps you are also generous enough to give. Now, you as this big man, when you start giving this money and at a point in time you find yourself needing help, who do you fall on? Yes, that's the question. You may need help to sort your children's school fees. You may need help to even sort yourself, or at a point where we normally say that Bosomena Bukev. In fact, the month has negotiated a curve, meaning that we are in the middle of the month where the salary you might have received has actually gotten finished, and you are really expecting the next pay from your employer. At that moment, where do you fall on? Do you fall on the mobile money credit facilities? Do you fall on your bank? Or do you fall on friends? Or do you fall on the people who hail you big man to rather come in and sort you out? That is another challenge. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation about how to set an emergency fund as a big man. So, when we talk of emergency fund, we are looking at a fund for any person who will rely on this fund when there is the need, and he or she has to find some money to solve some pressing financial issues. It cannot always be that whenever you are in need of financial assistance, urgent one, then you have to fall on taking up loans from mobile money apps. We all understand how expensive these kind of loans are. You also do not really rely on friends or family. Perhaps you may go there and they also have issues to really take care of. So you may be an inconvenience. There is a way that we can really set up our finances in such a way that we can really have some cushion with us whenever we want to or whenever we are in need of cash. So emergency fund is simply setting some cash aside purposely for sorting out urgent issues when they arise. These urgent issues are mostly unplanned. Maybe in one episode, I will talk to you about how to budget. When you are going onto your emergency fund, then there is the possibility that you have a certain financial burden or a certain financial need which were unplanned, which was not in a budget, but it is necessary for you to meet. For instance, if you are in an employment and for a certain reason you are laid off or you want to change work, you don't like the way things are going in your employment space, or you are actually sacked, right? If in case you are sacked down, how long will the money that you have in your funds, right, take you before you get another job? So let's assuming that it will take you 6 months to change job when or to find a new job when you lose the current one. Then you should be looking at putting about 6 months of your monthly expenditure down in order to say that this is the money that I will fall on when I am in transitioning to get another job. So that is emergency fund, right? It can be, you can fall on it when you are in transition to find a new work, or you can fall on it when there is some urgent unplanned financial need which is so important that you cannot really lay away or delay. Then that becomes where you go to really take up money to sort of those emergency issues. So, how do we set an emergency fund? I have listed some points here and I want to share with you. The first aspect is that you have to set a clear goal. So, just as I mentioned, if it is going to take you 6, 3, 4, 5, or even a year for you to change up your transition from your current employment to another employment in case you lose the current one, then it means that you want to set up a clear goal. So let's make an assumption. Assuming you spend 2,000 cedis every month. This is just an assumption. Assuming you spend 2,000 cedis every month as your monthly expenditure, then it will take you um if we say that it will take you 6 months for you to change one job, find a new job in case you lose the current one, then your emergency fund should be 2,000 multiplied by the 6,000, where you are not going to receive any salary till you find a new job. That becomes the clear goal, clear amount. So we are looking at 12,000 in this case, right? So you have to set a clear goal, clear amount to really work towards, right? So if that is the case, then how long, how long do you think that you can put together this money? We want to save 12,000 to cater for us, or we want to save 6 months of our monthly expenditure so that we know that we have cushion for ourselves. Then, if that is the case, maybe you spend 5,000 in every month, you multiply 5,000 by 6 months, you get 30,000, and the 30,000 become the clear goal. And you also put a timeline on it. So Then I want to raise 30,000 in the next how many days, how many weeks, how many months, how many years, right? So you want to set a clear amount and a clear period that you would want to use to raise that money. So set clear goals. The next thing we want to talk about is create your budget. So you have to really create a budget for yourself. For you to create budgets, you cannot create a budget out of vacuum. You have to ensure that you create your budgets based on your current expenditure. So you would have to start tracking all your various expenditure for a particular month or for a particular period. You can even do 3 months continuously, right? And what you intend doing is that you really want to know where every cedi of your money go, where every cedi of your money go. And when you have that data, if you have that information, you can take decision based on the information that you have obtained. You can now know that, oh, I spend so much money on, let's say, betting, right? And in the end, this is the return I get from betting. You may want to consider whether you would really want to sacrifice some betting activities, or you may want to maintain your betting and sacrifice another activity that you really think that you can actually live without, right? Then that will be the strategy. You would have to keep this data so that you can set a budget with it. Know the things that you want to cut, know the things that you want to maintain, know the things that you want to eliminate out of you, and know exactly where your incomes are coming in. So, after creating your budget, you may want to automate your savings. Don't forget, we said that we were going to raise 6 months of our monthly expenditure at a go, at a particular month, right? In a particular period. So, if that is the case, then what we want to actually do is that we may want to automate our savings. You can set standing orders from your bank where immediately you receive your money. A standing order will require that a certain portion of your savings or a certain amount which you have dedicated for savings is automatically deducted from your money into your emergency fund, right? So that is what you may want to do. Some people use direct debit. So what it means is that you fill a form with your current bank to be given, you fill your form with another bank where you want to keep your emergency fund. You fill a form with them to be given to your current bank where you receive your monthly income from, so that at a particular time, in other monies are transferred. This is automatic, so you do not have to go to the bank to take the money by yourself, or you go to the ATM to take the money by yourself, or you pick your banking app, you banking website to send the money by yourself. It is automatic. So when the money drops in, and let's say you are earning 1,000 cedis and you want to really set 200 cedis out for savings into your emergency fund, then you can understand that by the time you go to the bank, after your 1,000 cedis have hit your account, you are only going to meet 800, because automatically 200 cedis have been set out. Then one another thing I want you to understand is that whenever you try to think about emergency fund after listening to this podcast, you realize that, hey, Charlie, yeah, I am motivated. I am motivated. Should I lose my job right now, or should something emergency come up right now? How am I going to make money to do it? From this podcast, I know that, Charlie, I have to save. I have to save. Now you have to save. You have to save. Why don't I put like 50% of my earnings? After all, me, grandpa, I'm wasting money. Why can't I put 50% of my earnings or my salary out into the emergency fund? Ẹja kò ní mo tó bọ́ àsè. So you would have to start small, okay? it is a new habit that you want to build. And if you want to build a new habit, you don't materially change, or you don't significantly change your current habits, because if you do that, what is going to happen to you is that you are going to stay demotivated. So you can choose to put out some irrelevant or some amount which, if it's moved out of you into your savings, it's moved out of your income into your savings, you are not really going to feel it that much. And as and when you see your emergency fund growing and you have been consistently putting that money aside, you can get motivated by seeing the growth that you have made, for you to then decide to move into big cuts in your expenditure so you can increase your emergency fund. The other aspect I want you to understand is about, hi, we hope you are enjoying the conversations. Sorry I cut in this moment, but there is important information that I have to share with you. We need you to subscribe to this channel. We need you to subscribe to this podcast. This will enable us to grow our community and show our guests that when they come onto this platform, we are a large community where his ideas and conversation will actually make a massive impact. Without this, we may not be able to convince very resourceful persons onto this platform. I cannot do this alone unless you hit on the subscribe button. Hit on it and let's dive back into the conversation. How to use an unexpected fund. So, you know that if I go to work and all things being equal, I am going to get my 1,000 cedi salary. That is the money that you are expecting. That is the money that you have budgeted for to actually use, right? So now, in case you get some tips from work, in case don't forget your betting habits, in case your bet actually hits, right, from a football match, and you unexpectedly win that bet, how are you really going to use that money? One resource person who spoke to us at Tema District Society, it is an ICAG society that I belong to in my area. It is full of accountants. In one of our discussion, the resource person shared a strategy with us. And his point was that in case you get unexpected fund, tips, gifts, or whatever, don't be quick to use that money to solve a pressing need. Don't forget, you didn't know that this unexpected money was coming to you anyway. It just came without you working for it or without you expecting it. But then you were still living with your pressing issue, which haven't killed you yet. The whole point is that he said anytime you get unexpected funds, the best thing to do is to actually keep that money for about 5 days, right? You keep the money intact for about 5 days without touching it, so that by the end of the fifth day, you might have really risen, think through to know how to properly position that money. My suggestion is that whenever you get unexpected money, it was unbudgeted for. It is money that you didn't include in the budget that we spoke about earlier, right? So if that is the case, this is money that if you decide to use, you are really highly going to waste it. So why don't you push this unexpected money into your emergency fund so that we can really be closer to your goal than normal? Beyond that, we would want to talk about family support. Hmm. This is very, very sensitive topic I am about to share, and I myself, I feel uncomfortable about it, but we have to do it anyway. So the whole point is that in my introduction, I mentioned to you about black tax, where everybody is hailing you, big man, boss, you champion, atta, hey, hey, yeah. Then all these hailing are actually hailings that is really expecting that some money comes out of you, right? We are saying that in this process of setting up your emergency fund, you may want to temporary, 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 you may have to temporarily reduce family support, right? So you just have to reduce family support to ensure that you position yourself well financially so that later on, after you have met the targets that you set for yourself, don't forget our target is 6 months of our monthly expenditure in our emergency fund, right? And there is an amount that we've set for it. There is a timeline that we have set for this. So in this period, when you are putting together your emergency fund, this is the time that you may want to really say that, Charlie, let me just put family support on hold for this short period so that when I meet my target, then I come back to do my usual support for the people. Now, one strategy that Professor Adai, I think he's the former rector of GIMPA, shared. I saw this in an interview which I really don't remember. I think it was through in Springboard with Albert Okran. The man mentioned that for him, his strategy of family support is rather to really set up what we call family projects. So if he goes to his hometown and he find out that, oh, the toilet facility in this household, the bathroom in this home is not really in a good shape. There is a leaky roof and other things. He will prefer to put the money that he shared to family members into rather renovating the home, helping with certain projects which will benefit most of the family members because it's a family property that he has decided to put it into a good shape. It will benefit most of the family members and unborn generations rather than the people who will just take a stipend from him, because those stipend is not really going to solve their financial issues anyway. It is going to be spent and misused. But if he puts that money into family projects in his hometown, then it means that unborn generations can even come and meet that project and benefit from it, which I think it's a good idea that I wanted to share with you. And one other thing we have to consider is additional income. Additional income. Let's face it, you are likely to do your budget, and I know you are likely to do your budget and realize that Bona, what I am really facing, the money that I am really spending out of the income that I am making, there's your emergency fund there. And if you are that kind of person, what we would want to recommend is finding additional income. And see, additional income may seem very far to reach, right? But it is possible. One quote I normally see on people's status is the fact that you do not really have to be shy of your hustle, right? Because your hustle is what is going to put money or food on your table. So there are so many ways where you can find additional income. For instance, I am an accountant. We are having double track system. I don't know if the current government has changed it, but then whether he has changed it or not, in my localities around Tema, I can identify business students and run extra classes on accounting for them. Because face it, chartered accountant, practicing auditor. I did SHS accounting some years ago, and now it has become one of the easiest accounting I can ever think of, right? You can perform these extra classes for students and charge them for teaching them their elective subjects, right? So that is if you are in that position, if you are an expert, and don't give small money chance. One guy who really do most of my work for me, an artist, and he's called Ayensu. And he always say, my name is Ayensu one. I don't give small money chance. Don't give small money chance. I believe that as a chartered accountant, practicing auditor, blah 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 content creator, hey, me extra classes for SS4. How much are they really going to pay me for all this coca and those things? But the whole point is that it is still an extra income. And as at now, that is the best that you can really make out of your time. If there is any other income where you think that you can easily generate it without really which will bring more value to the time that you spend in creating that additional income, good for you. But don't be shy of the little money and don't give small money chances. You can teach students how to play musical instruments. If you have that kind of talent, you can play for churches and charge them. Yeah, I am a Christian, but I know that musicians nowadays charge for playing for churches, and they are not wrong. We pay pastors too. So musicians must be paid. You can play for them. You can play for certain live bands. Friday, Passions. You join Passions band. You play go for them. Go. And perhaps after the program or after the concert, you get paid for playing a musical instrument with the band. Think of training kids in swimming. I pay for my kids to go for swimming classes, Charlie. Sometimes the money is hard to come by, but we have to, right? So think of these are the easiest things I can think of. Recently, when we're facing financial issues in our home, and we're still facing them in a way, but we'll get out of it very soon. We had to make use for a shop that my sister was operating before she left our house. And now we are operating it. And that is where we normally go for some emergency money. Yeah, I know. It is not my policy. It is my policy to speak against that. But in fact, when you need an urgent money, you have some extra income which you can really rely on. And that income will come and boost your already existing earnings. This income or this side hustle is likely to even outgrow or outperform your current salary or your current business, your current employment that you are in, right? And that is likely to outlive you. So don't be shy to look for extra income for doing extra business, selling here and there, running some businesses, consultancy, advisory, and all those things to take money. So that is additional income. And you have to be patient and consistent. Don't forget, we started small, and we are starting small because we want to ensure that we can be consistent, see the results, be motivated, and increase our efforts, right? But this comes with being patient and consistent. Consistency is very key. Consistency is very key. But then you have to be patient as well. Don't feel like I am targeting, for instance, your expenditure is 10,000 this every month, right? And you are targeting 60,000. And then your first savings is 2,000. You feel like, yeah, pay 60,000, 2,000, or 500, or 1,005 there. Yeah, they hear them. don't forget the moment you put in the 2,000, your target has moved from 60,000 to 58,000. The next 500 or next 200 reduces your target. So be consistent and be patient. And also remember, we spoke about reducing the family support temporary, right? You cannot just do that. You need to really bring the family members along. You need to educate them, let them know why you are taking up this course, the need to really have your emergency fund created, right? Try to convince them, talk to them about it, and let them know it is just temporal. It is just temporal, and after that, you are back online to become Odogu number one, boss, KVAC, the champion, the conqueror, the lion is here. You can come back and be your big man. So this is how we will end today's podcast. Don't forget, we are on a journey to create an emergency fund. I am going to start creating mine from the end of this month, and in about 3 months later, I'll come back and share the progress with you. But I'll walk with you through the journey in creating my emergency fund. Thank you for listening today and watching. Don't forget to drop a comment, share, and also subscribe to the channel. See you in another episode of the Disclosures Podcast.